Hello, hello, hello. So to recap, I am currently building a D&D campaign for my party. We are in session 3 of that D&D campaign. And so to go through a recap, in session 2, I just completely failed to do something, but it turned out amazingly. I had originally planned all this stuff. I had a cheese barn. What town are they in? What are their NPCs? And the campaign is that there's these vampires and they're in control of the city. And the question was, can you find where the undead's lair is? And I built out the city. I'm like, there's a cheese bar, and their main exports are wine and silk and cheese. And here's where the wine's made. Here's the tavern, and yada 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 yada. But it's an undead campaign. I forgot to put a cemetery in my undead campaign. So naturally, when I say go find out where the vampires sleep, my paladin says, "Oh well, I'm going to go to the cemetery." There's a cemetery, right? There is now, and this was a wonderful lesson for me on improv because I was able to pull off an amazing session out of nowhere. I did not have a graveyard, so I invented one. I said, okay, I have a church. Let's put the graveyard next to the church. But the way that the society works, we're going to make it so that only the rich people get to be in that church. And all the poor people are going to be outside the city, which happens to be druid territory for those of you who are just catching on. The vampires rule inside the city, the druids rule outside the city. There's currently a peace accord, which the druids are now hiring the party to help them find out where the vampires sleep so that when the holiday starts in 5 days, there's a lover's holiday where the druids are allowed into the city and they're going to kill all the vampires. But the druids are evil and the party doesn't know that. They're going to kill everyone, not just the vampires, which is going to be a wonderful end to the little miniature campaign I have going. And so, anyways, I pulled out this. I made a map in my head. Luckily, we were playing online, and the way that we play online, we don't use a lot of heavy maps. So I just said, okay, you guys started this session in a jail cell in this arena, in a jail cell that rose into an arena. You're back there. Except now there's these blues mushrooms growing on the wall, and there's a blade in the center, and the paladin grabs the blade, and zombies come out, and it all rolled into something that turned out really well, all things considered. But now I have to build session 3. The holiday starts in 5 days, but I think they're going to find the undead sooner. So that's just going to have to come out somewhere. And so they have found out the main person that they should be able to talk to about where these vampires sleep, and that is the owner of a winery. He is a half orc. Let me pull up my winery notes real quick. That's library. That's the cheese bar. The winery. Okay, the winery the owner's name is Thazar. He's a very timid half orc, and he does not like questions. But at least in my mind, and this can always change. This is where dungeon mastering can be very flexible. I don't have to have the vampires under there. The problem is I don't have a really good place to put them. Am I going to put them under the cheese barn? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I'm open to ideas. By the way, real quick, anyone who wants to give me NPC names for something to be included in my campaign, throw them at me. Any location names, any magic items you think my players might like. We're at level 4. I'm running with a Spores Druid and a Paladin, and I might have other people come in later on. But that's where we're at right now. So, let's get into plot. So the plot is players are seeking the vampire's lair. Hello, is a vibe. Names are my superpower. Go at it, Guildmaster Grover. All right. So, they just killed the head scientist, Francis Stone, way too early. I did not intend for that. All right. And so, don't need a name for him. The head vamp is named Mort Vivant, but I am 100% up for having any characters under Mort Vivant. I have no hierarchy. I have no structure for this vamp court right now. So, if anyone wants to give me names so I can put in a right-hand dude or lady, all right, to perhaps be guarding it or to chase after them, I'm also thinking of an assassin of the vamps who works in the daytime because these vampires have to have something guarding them in the daytime other than just this guy who owns a winery. So that's what I need. Zine Falvar. I'm using that. All right. So now we have a guard named Zine Falvar. I like that. Any ideas for race or class are completely open. For those of you who are just joining us, like you, Fizzle, I'm not even going to try. We're coming up with NPC names, and I need a hierarchy for my vampire court. And so right now we have a guard named Zine Falvar. The head vamp is named Mort Vivant. And I am taking any and all ideas for the campaign I'm running my players through. So there's a guard named Zine Falvar, and they're guarding the Undead's lair. We should definitely have some traps here. So let's put in any trap ideas. I've already used a rune trap that held the Clinda. That's a pretty name. I like Clinda. I think that's a name for a... the church is evil in this town. And so I think Clinda is a great name for a cleric named Clinda, who is going to be part of the rebel faction, because this is something I've been playing with. There is an NPC... Let me pull up the wanted poster, known as the Midnight Skunk. He's a thief who sneaks in to parties in the middle of the night and steals valuables. Whenever they're seen, they release a stinky smoke bomb and skedaddle away. They're a halfling who knows that the vampires rule the inside and are evil, but they don't trust the druids either. They're there to kind of try and sway and keep the two at bay as much as possible, but they don't have any real power. They're a completely barely structured militia. Shaylin Zernkill. I like that. Superpower for names is truth. All right, so I'm gonna let that one ruminate for a bit. Shaylin Zernkill. I like that. I might just make that a brother or sister of the assassin we just had here. All right, so, anyways, where was I? I was at the cleric, who we had an excellent name for. Where's the church? Da-da-da-da. For those of you who want to know, what's Dungeon Mastering like? It's notes and improv. So we have Clinda, who is a part of the loose rebel faction within the city. If the players can get in touch with anyone in the rebel faction, it will completely blow up the campaign in, I think, a really good way. Because then they could know that maybe the druids aren't as good as they think they are. Because druids have a really good rap, but there's definitely got to be evil druids, which is why I'm putting them into my campaign. So part of the loose rebel faction within the city, and works within the church as a spy, because the church is totally run by the vampires. It's a thing. Okay, great. So now back to the winery. So I've got people. Let's write this up as an encounter real quick here. All right. So, encounter. So they're going to go to the winery, and my paladin is almost definitely going to detect evil, detect undead. And so they're going to know right away that there are undead underneath this winery. And so the first thing they're going to have to do is either convince or incapacitate the winery owner, who is a timid half-orc, so he's not going to be super hard to incapacitate, but also he knows that if he lets these people go into where the vampires sleep, that it is his butt on the line. All right, so next they're going to come across a guard, and we're going to make that a guard pair. So guards, Zane Falvar Yeah, my computer's glitching. So guards named Zane Falvar. And there was another great name that one of y'all gave me. Just give me a second here. Wait, what happened? Okay. I'm going to just type it in. Zane Falvar. And we had Shaylin Zernkill. Alright, so there's your guards. Let's assume that they mow through them. They have to be not undead. Alright, and they might not even go this far. They might say, oh, the undead must be down there. But they're probably going to want to confirm with some coffins and such. So I now need traps, and we're open for trap ideas. Fibble Rang Kivdel. I have undead goblins in this campaign, and so I like that for another undead goblin because they just killed my other one. So, undead goblin, new undead goblin, Fibble Rang Kivdel. Like it. I might also make that up. My undead goblins are just completely ornery. They are little stabby McHappies. Alright, so let's go into traps. Let's do a regular old tripwire equals arrows. What is TikTok's acting funny? Okay. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we're going to do a classic tripwire arrows. That's going to be a decoy, though. Alright. We need something deadlier. I got a Spores Druid. So I like something with poison. So maybe let's make those arrows poison. Alright. And let's make the perception on that. They're only level 4. Let's make that a 15. Alright. I also like there to be a monster down there. Dripping from the ceiling. I like something dripping from the ceiling. First of all, I like just things in middles of rooms. So I like the idea of... Oh, you know what I know that they don't like? They don't like levers. I'm going to put some levers in there. So I'm going to have an empty room with 3, a box that has 3 levers. Lever 1, wine falls from the ceiling. Maybe not wine. Something falls from the ceiling. So I'm going to put blank, blank, blank. I'll think of what falls later. Falls from the ceiling. Alright. The lever 2 is going to... Let me think real quick. What is the third lever going to do? It's just going to shock. No, it's going to let out a monster. So, lets out monster. And I will look up a monster in a second. You know what they could probably do with a rust monster. Alright, or something that is a fire elemental, because they're probably their main thing that they would be afraid of finding them is a druids. Okay, that's like their main thing that they're afraid of. So they're going to have a fire elemental. How strong are fire elementals? I need to see if I need to beef that up or break that down. Wine filling the room. I like it. I like drowning in wine. That's the most hilarious thing in the world. So lever 1 is going to be wine flooding the room. And I think that these vampires would think that that's poetic justice. I think they would find that absolutely hilarious. Alright, so lever 2 is going to let out a fire elemental, but I'm going to double check in D&D Beyond exactly how strong a fire elemental is, though these two Spores Druids are so broken. And my Paladin, who's also a Warlock, is also pretty broken, and so it may very well be completely possible for them to defeat something that they shouldn't be able to defeat. What will be hilarious is if they flood the place with wine and then pull the second lever, unleashing a fire elemental who's doused immediately by wine. Real quick, let's go into my campaigns. Alright, we're going to go into tools here. There's an encounter builder on D&D Beyond. For anyone who's not on D&D Beyond, I highly recommend it. It is a Dungeon Master's best friend. It's not a everything you need all in one place. It's not perfect, but it's super useful. All right, so let's see here. A nice fire elemental is only a CR 5. So let's take a look here. Let's manage. So if I have some level 4s, all right. Alright, so let's do that. Now, it seems to think that one fire elemental will be plenty, alright, to defeat a couple of level 4s. So, we'll just make it that. Let's make it a fire elemental. Alright. What kind of fire elemental I have? Well, the one that came up for me was just the basic rules fire elemental. It's a CR 5, and so it is pretty up there. I think that they're going to have a pretty decent time fighting it. I'll have to go to the fire elemental. I'll have to go to Roll20 to get the exact stats. My internet's cutting out. No! Alright, well, I can still work in my document. Alright, and then lever 3 is going to open a hidden door, which is going to be... Alright, so that's going to lead to where the coffins are. Alright, and hopefully they don't actually try to fight these vampires. Make it... Depends on what kind of fire. Make it reacting with the wine with an empty bathtub behind the door. That's funny. But we're going to go with it just leads to coffins. I don't like to get too crazy. So we have a couple of good... We have a combat. I need to always have a combat scenario. We have a couple of traps. One that they're probably going to perceive, but if they don't, they're going to be poisoned, and that's fun for them. They got the healing that they need to do it. I've got another trap that can flood the room with wine, and let's make that to fix this, because I need to think of actually how they can get out of this. They can push lever back. They could open the door, or they'll come up with their own things. You can't plan everything. They could drink their way out of the wine for all I care. All right, and when they enter this room, it's got to be that the door behind them shuts. So actually, I need to make a note on that. Door behind them shuts, and let's go ahead and say that they can break down a door with a 23 strength roll. I don't like to kill my players, and I don't run things really hardcore, so I'm not going to kill them. If it comes to it, there will be something else that can happen, and that's where the improv comes in. You just got to be able to roll with it. All right, but now I have like 3 traps and the potential, definitely going to have to fight 2 people, possibly going to have to fight a fire elemental, and if they pull the first level, that fire elemental will just get doused with wine, which I think is hilarious. All right, And after that, they're just going to have to go in and go with the world as it is. So I'm pretty much done here. Thank you so much, Guildmaster Grover, for hopping in on the live and just giving me some help as we went along. Super appreciate it. Everyone else who came along, thank you so much. I super appreciate you. And y'all have a great day. I'll let you know how Session 3 goes. And I'll bring you back in for live when Session 4 starts building. So have a great day.